A few Goldilock Bears podcast with Vincent Cloud.
John Nemitz.
David Lauer.
And this is the show where we talk about loves and hates and indifferences. Um, but before we do any of that, we like to bring up old topics. Like right before we're about to fall asleep in bed, the wife is like, "We gotta talk," and you're like, "Ah, god damn it!" Bringing up shit from eons ago. In a segment we like to call Deja Fuse. Who's got one?
I've got one. And that one is Dodgeball. Did you watch it this last weekend? NFL All-Stars playing Dodgeball.
No, but I love that you brought this up. Was this the first time ever that they did that weird Pro Bowl games?
As far as I know, I don't pay a ton of attention. Like I was just out the All-Star or the Pro Bowl was like um a a game where the players on the Super Bowl don't want to play because they don't want to get injured. All good players don't want to like try that hard because they don't want to get injured. And it just kind of was a farce. And now they're embracing the varsity and
Varsity
um
football.
and this, like, oh, actually let's play like flag football for the actual for the game, and then like a bunch of other ridiculous games, and dodgeball was one of them. And I didn't watch any of this live, but I did check out um some YouTube clips of the dodgeball game, and it was definitely not pro level dodgeball there. It was pretty funny actually. They kind of seemed like, like timid grade schoolers, like, on how they approached the ball, and there was like no coordination on like who was throwing and when, and like it was kind of funny actually.
Dave, what is so this is the first time I'm guessing that they've done anything like this?
Um, well, like 20 years ago, they used to do like a quarterback challenge where and they used to do it with some other positions as well, where they would have a competition with like the top, like the Pro Bowl quarterbacks. When they'd all go to Hawaii before the game, like the day before the game, they'd all see who could throw the ball the furthest. So there's like old stuff from like the late 90s where it was like Brett Favre, Troy Aikman, Steve Young, like Dan Marino, like stuff like that. But then they quit doing it in like the year 2001, 2002. Um, I do recall them having some stuff for other positions, like running back, where they would just have like a little obstacle course or something where there's like dummies that are moving and they got to like run through the obstacle course and it's timed, whoever can do it the fastest. Um, but yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen like dodgeball and like flag football. It was really cool. I didn't watch. I just saw a couple of clips, I think, but I do want to check it out. It's pretty interesting, and I do like it more than the actual game itself because it's like the Pro Bowl game was just, I don't know, it was just so weird. Like a flag football is really what it should be because nobody wants to get hurt, especially, if you're making $20 million a year, you don't want to risk getting hurt playing a game that doesn't matter. So, kind of makes sense.
But I loved like they had to like these catchers went on skis, water skis, and they had to jump up in the air and catch a fucking football. And I thought that was cool as shit. Like it got me interested in football or something, even though none of it was really football stuff. I thought it was really awesome. So I'm
So
into
here's
it.
Yeah.
a conspiracy theory. Do you think like, because the NFL is getting all that flack for head injuries and stuff, like, are they testing the waters? Like, is America ready to watch flag football? And, like, eventually tackle football will be a thing of the past. And
Whoa. I mean, it's
I
got to
can tell
go.
that you're not a huge NFL fan because it basically is flag football. Like, I think like over the last like 10 years, they've really like the way the officials like police the game. Like the defenses, like there's multiple touchdowns this year, like quarterback scored because they like pretended to like they were gonna slide or go out of bounds, and the defenders just wouldn't touch them because they knew they would get a penalty thrown. But then the guy would just cut back up the field and score a touchdown. And everyone's like, "Why didn't you tackle him?" And he's like, "What? He was right on the sideline. I didn't want to get a
Oh
flag
yeah.
thrown." So yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of not good, like when they're kind of abusing that, because that's like the thing protecting them, and then they're like, oh well, let's what do you call it, like metagaming or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing a thing a couple of years ago. I think it was like Clay Matthews or someone from the Packers showing like what are you allowed to do a quarterback, and he's like then like putting a baby into a crib or something.
Miss that guy, Clay Matthews.
I just
Well,
miss his hair.
yeah. Oh, I grew out my hair for him. It was all for you, Clay. All right. Well, I'm interested. I hope it sticks around. Because I'll definitely tune in next year for that. That was cool. But who will tune in for our show? Which someone, I think Dave, you got to start this episode, right?
I
Yeah.
imagine we'll get similar numbers.
Yes. But go ahead, Dave.
I'm okay. So I don't even remember what my topics are.
Oh,
Oh, I know what I
goodness.
love. I love so I've realized this, like there's certain things like if you have TikTok and you watch internet videos, the algorithm will it kind of tells you what you're interested in because it knows what you've sat and watched the entire video and what you follow. And I've realized what I love is watching videos of uh this dude's cutting down trees with chainsaws. It's like a weird guilty pleasure thing that I have where I don't know, I don't feel guilty about it, but I really enjoy these videos because there's these videos, it's always like what's gonna happen next? Because you just see them with a chainsaw, they're cutting down the tree, the person with the camera pans up and down the tree, and like as you're watching it, you have to like decide, okay, what's gonna happen next? So it's all about like anticipation. And you're like, okay, there's a house right there. There's a car parked over there. Like, is the tree gonna fall on the house? Is it gonna fall on the car?
Okay, so are these like often disaster videos? Like,
No, like
oh,
a
okay.
lot of times they're not. A lot of times they're just really skilled. Like a lot of guys, like they're I don't know if it's landscaping or like these. Well, what is the professional term for a lumberjack? I don't know.
I think you
These
just said
guys.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like they'll have TikTok accounts for their business. They're just a tree removal service, and they'll videotape them like being in a city on like a city block, cutting down a big old tree, and it's tight quarters. They're gonna land it right between two houses and not damage anything. And you're watching it, and you don't know if it's gonna crash and hurt something or if it's gonna be fine. But like as you're watching the video, it's all about the anticipation of what's gonna happen next. So like you watch the guy cutting and you're like, oh, I've never seen somebody cut a tree like that. But like I'm no expert. I have no expertise at all. So like they could be doing it properly or improperly, but I just have to kind of judge on my own. And then, you watch somebody, you're like, oh, they look kind of sloppy. Like this is gonna end bad. This is gonna end bad. You're just trying to figure out what's gonna happen next.
I think
And
these
yeah.
these are your ASMR videos, Dave.
Oh yeah, it is. So good. But it's like the buzzing sound of a chainsaw. Can't be beat.
Better than fingernails on a mic.
Ah, the worst.
Oh, and then so that explains your background, maybe on accident, but you said you chopped that tree down, right? Did you record that?
I did not.
Ah, nuts.
I had some crappy chainsaw that kept dying, and I had to pull start it like 7 or 8 times.
Ooh.
And eventually I was just like, well, good enough. Walked away.
Well, when you first brought this up, I was like, oh, we kind of already covered fail army videos, but no, you're saying sometimes they go well and you're just watching the act of trees getting removed and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, because
yeah.
there's a real like fine art and skill to it when they do it properly and they land it, right between two houses. Um, sometimes you can get duped and there's bad videos. They go on for like 7 minutes, nothing exciting happens. And then like the video ends and you're like, the tree didn't even fall. Like, what the fuck? I just wasted 8 minutes. Like, so, if you feel like you're getting burned, you gotta scrub through the
Like
video a little bit and, make
the
sure
edging of
there's
tree felling videos.
yes, precisely. Yeah, because like a fail video, if you're watching a fail video, you see a guy on a skateboard, he's gonna fall on his ass or hit himself in the nuts. But with a tree falling video, you don't know. It could be good, could be bad.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see how it would be very satisfying to watch. I know, like on camping trips, yeah, like where we talk about the boundary waters all the time. Up there, you're allowed to cut down dead trees for your firewood. So that's like always an exciting time around camp when we're like, okay, we're gonna go cut down a tree, and um, you know, you watch it fall over, and then makes it satisfying, like crunching sound, and so
You gotta cut like up there, you gotta cut those by hand. You can't bring a
yeah,
chainsaw.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So
wow.
we have like this foldable saw that, it folds out into like a triangle kind of thing, and um, yeah, it's easier with like, dead trees because they're drier, and you can cut through them easier. But yeah.
Sounds a little soft core for my taste. But to each their own.
I grew up in the woods, and so we cut down a lot of trees because we had a wood stove for the house. So that's awesome. In person, it's always kind of freaky too, because like, you know, you're watching Dad with the chainsaw, and you're like, I could have swear that thing's gonna land right on you, but it never did happen to him. He's always been sort of a daredevil and stuff like that. But also, when you're a kid and you're running around the woods, there's plenty of dead trees where you can actually push like a fucking bear. You knock them down, and that's always fun. I actually, but sometimes it goes bad. If you've seen enough of those videos, the top fell off and it landed right on my hand and broke off
Mhm.
like a piece of tree, a piece of dead wood in my hand, and it never came out. It's still there too. Yeah.
Jeez.
No infection
Yeah.
or anything, but yeah.
Or like another thing, the trunk can kick out a little bit instead of just, falling straight over, and gotta watch out for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Serious business.
Yeah, and there's some crazy ones where they're just cutting off the top of the tree and they're like harnessed like, 30 feet up and they're just hanging on to the side and they're cutting the tree above them. And they gotta make sure it doesn't land and hit themselves in the head.
There's also the videos of like I think in California, but like those long ass like palm like trees, where it's just there's no branches until the very end, and you got these videos and they're so high up and they're cutting off the tops, and that they're wrenched up or wenched into the tree. So by the time the tree tip falls off, that tree swings back and forth like crazy. It's nuts. It's super scary, and I hope they get paid enough to bemuse Dave.
Yeah. Those are good ones. I love that recoil.
Well, should we segue out of here? What's a good segue out of this? Let's knock down
Yell
that old topic.
timber and
Well, who else go next? John or I?
sure, I can go. Um, I'll go with my hate, which is um a little ironic for being on a podcasts like this, but I really don't like rating or ranking things. So like or even like putting a lot of thought into like whether or not I liked something. Like um like most movies or shows or um like yeah, I'll stick with that for now. Like that kind of stuff, like after I watch something, I usually think like I like it okay. Like I can't really think of like a movie that I like hated. I'm like, maybe like, okay, I don't need to watch it again or whatever. But I saw like somebody made that, good for them. That's cool. Um, and like just the idea of like assigning like a star rating to it or something is kind of stressful for me. Like, oh man, like I want to think of like every movie I've ever seen and like compare it to that, and like I just don't like that idea at all, so I like avoid it. Or like um if there's like a bunch of movies in a series or like all the albums from a band or something, I don't really like to think about like a ranking order, like this one's the best, then that one, then that one. I'm like, oh, I like them all for different reasons or whatever. And yeah, I don't know why. I know some people like love ranking stuff and assigning star ratings to everything, but I just don't like it.
Yeah, that's like a whole genre of YouTube videos, I want to say, where people just have the tier list. They have that,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
yeah, whatever that is. For one, I do enjoy it. Even though I'll run into plenty of people where they're like, "Oh, this fucking album sucked balls." I'm like, "What? Excuse me?" Like, I'll just really like, and then I'll just turn it off and maybe check out someone else's list. Hopefully, they think the White Album is better. You know? So I don't know. I enjoy watching them. And that'd be kind of cool to make a ranking video, but I understand what you mean, where it's like that's someone's blood, sweat, and tears up there, and you're just gonna say, "Oh, it sucked balls," you know? Yeah, it's bizarre.
I'm super jealous of like I wish I could be like that because I feel like I rank everything and I feel like it's just like how like the internet works. Everybody has to have like a hot take. You either gotta love something or you gotta hate something. And it's a lot more fun for people, I think, to hate on stuff. They just like even when I make my love, my hate, my indifference, I have a million choices when it comes to hates because I hate so many things. And then when I have to choose something I love, I really have to like think about it. Like, man, what do I love? This is the commitment, because to say it to for me to go out there on a limb and say that I like something is like a big deal. But to say I hate something, it's super easy to just hate on everything. So like ranking list, like I do feel like I don't like reading other people's top 10 horror movies of 2002 or whatever. Um, what's really ruined it for me was the Rolling Stone, the magazine. They'd come out with those like top 100 rock songs of all time.
Mhm.
I was looking through one just the other day because you mentioned you were going to do this for a topic, and I'm scrolling through the top 100 Rolling Stone songs, and like number 17 or 16 is Queen Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'm like, yeah, top 20, I'm like, it's totally deserving. I like it. And then I looked at the song that was ranked right above it, and it was Beyonce. And I was just like, no way this song by Beyonce was better than Queen. Like,
Oh,
and
it's
I
like a
feel
rock and
like
roll
they
song
made
too.
those lists just to make me angry or something. Like they can't be serious.
Queen Bee, she's got a lot of nicknames, that fucking Beyonce, man. So you be careful. Her fucking fans, what are they called? They got some name.
Are they in the Beehive.
Yes, yes, that's right. The beehive. They'll come and get us. There's probably a beehive in that tree behind you, Dave. So be
I
careful.
didn't realize I was shaking a beehive tree.
I actually just heard in, I think it was This American Life this last weekend, that when on a first date, women will ask men what they think about Beyonce as kind of like not a code, but like their answer for that somehow says a lot about them as a person, which I didn't fully understand because I don't really know much about Beyonce or care that much, and maybe that says a lot about me too if I ever had to get back out on the dating scene. But um like it seemed, and like a lot of like women knew that, and men that now also know that that's like a trick, like a trap question, which yeah, the intricacies of it are beyond me, but
Yeah, I don't even understand. Like, I have no like thoughts or feelings on Beyonce really. All I know is that ranking something, Queen is better than Beyonce. I don't think negatively of her. Her music's fine. Like it's better than other stuff in that same genre.
So
Like
so
I know a lot
base
of people like they really hate on Taylor Swift because she's super popular. I have nothing. There's nothing wrong with her music. It's not for me, but like
I
I
mean,
don't
she
hate
is
it.
ruining the NFL, but
Yeah, that's
No,
why
I,
they're putting out those sissy little games instead of an actual football game.
oh my gosh, I think it's hilarious when people complain about Taylor Swift like being shown on camera a couple times during a game, where it's just I barely notice and I don't even care. Like it doesn't mean anything to me.
yeah.
Because like half of the game, they're just showing close-ups on guys on the sideline or fans in the crowd. Like I'm not even paying attention to any of it until they're showing all the players on the field, and then I focus again.
So if you were single and they're like, "What do you think about Beyonce?" You'd just be like, "Queen's better." If I was asked that question, I would, or suggest maybe you guys too, be like, "Oh, I'm just glad that she got out of Destiny's Child, and people found out how talented she was. That's it, right?
Ooh, good answer.
Yeah, that's enough."
That's got to be a good
Um,
answer. I mean, if that's not, I don't know. I don't know what could be. So
Oh God.
I do enjoy like top lists, like looking at them. Like I'll look at like the Rolling Stone top 100 albums of all time for ideas of what to like listen to next, or top books of the year for what to read and that stuff. Um, and I I will take seriously like people's lists if it's somebody who like I know that I have a similar taste to them. But I have found that the averaged rating of something on like Rotten Tomatoes or Letterboxd or IMDb or whatever isn't necessarily a great indicator of whether I'm going to like something or not. Like I don't care that much about how many stars it got or how many out of 10 or whatever. I'll just watch it because of a recommendation or something.
So you got to go to people that you've gone to before that agreed with you, like in a
I mean,
way.
yeah, that's the way I'm most likely going to check something out. Yeah, not just because it got like a high star rating overall.
Yeah, I agree with you about the like the Misfits, for example. I was like, oh shit, the Misfits. So I went and typed in Misfits albums ranked just to get a good sense of like what I should check out first and stuff like that. So there is when it's useful and interesting to me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. I just don't like doing it myself.
Gosh, tortured, huh? You're like, John, you better
Don't make me
rank this.
decide.
All right. Should we go up a tier and change topics? I could go. Let's go with my hate. I hate garage sales. Um, I thought of this during the summer because I was driving around with my mom, and she's like, "Oh my God, a garage sale, let's go!" And this is when I'm like in between seasons of the podcast, so everything's love, hate, or indifference. And I was like, "I hate it." And she's like, "Whoa, relax." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry," but I think I hate this. So I started thinking of why, and it because I've gone to a bunch, and it's because my mom and my sisters love them. But when I go in there, I'm not going to throw a fit, but I'll, walk up there, and I don't like shopping barely, over the years. I don't like shopping when someone's watching me shop. That's fucking weird, Maybe that's someone's ASMR or log cutting video, but it is very weird to, because they have all their stuff out, and maybe it hurts them to see some dude buy some trinket that they have so much sentimentality for like 25 cents, maybe they priced it themselves, but it's for like hard times or something, um what do I got here? So hold on, I got shit written down here.
Here, well, I'll interject then. The talking about the price thing, I
Yeah.
always find it hilarious at garage sales where like you find an item that, like even at a Goodwill or something, they charge $5 for it and it's marked like $1. And some people are still like, I'll give you 75 cents for it.
Well, okay, I I always felt that we came off as cheap for stopping by in the first place. I put in my own thoughts into whoever's setting that up, and and then of course think negatively about it. So that's probably all on me. And there's been plenty
Well,
of
yeah, I mean
people.
they're up and they're pricing it, and all they want is to get rid of that stuff. They're not like, oh, look at these like dirt people who are so lowly they would stop by and look at this stuff.
See, again, that's all me. I just feel like a vulture. I feel like a vulture. Like, yeah. Um, And I'm trying to think if I've ever really found anything where I'm like, well, thank God it stopped there. I don't think so. I don't know. What about you guys? How do you guys feel?
I don't like them. I have memories of my like teenage years and childhood of like my mom and my sisters always wanted to go to garage sales. They love to look at used clothing, and like I've never been a used clothing kind of guy. Like I don't know, clothes are kind of dirty to me. Like if it's someone's clothes, then it's theirs. Like I don't want something used. I don't know. But like I didn't. So when I was like a teenager in like the year 99, 2000, 2001, I didn't have my driver's license yet because I was like 13, 14 years old. And my mom would say, "Hey, we're gonna go to Eau Claire on Saturday. Do you want to come?" And I always would say yes because it was the first time I could go to the city, and we could go to Walmart or the mall or see something cool. And then my mom would be like, "But we're gonna get up early because we're gonna go to the garage sales first." And I'd be like, "Ah, okay." So it's like a Saturday. We'd have to get in a car at like we'd have to leave at like 6 or 6:30 in the morning because the garage sales open at 7. And my mom would want to get there right away because this was when eBay was like the first like emerging
Oh,
as she was like a buyer and reseller. So she would, look at like old like plates and chinaware and glasses and jars. And then she would, she would know like the stuff that was worth stuff and stuff that wasn't. She'd be like, "Oh, I could sell this for about 35 bucks. I just bought it for $2." So she'd want to hit up all these spots, and like I hated it because it was just like looking at all this old junk that I'm like, they don't even want it, so why would I want it? You know?
Wait,
yeah,
I
can't
thought.
argue with that logic.
Wait, I thought you said you love garage sales. Did I hear that
No, I
wrong?
hate them.
Oh, you hate him. Oh,
Oh, I thought you
geez.
said you like them too,
Yeah,
actually. I'm
yeah.
excited.
Oh, I misspoke. I no, I
Uh,
think I said I'm like you too is
oh,
what I meant to say because I dislike them.
All
Now
right.
I'm confused myself. All right, I hate them. I hate everything, guys. Come on.
I
What
don't
about,
mind them, but I also don't go to them. And my mom was never into them or anything, so never was forced to go to them. The only time I really do is in the spring. The city I live in will have like a citywide garage sale day. So you can just kind of walk around the neighborhood and look at what everybody's got for sale. And I don't know. I think we've bought like garden tools and I don't know, maybe patio furniture or something. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I think, yeah, like I've never gotten any like amazing deals or amazing finds or anything. Um, although when Jesse and I rode that train to Wisconsin Rapids, we did buy a couple bicycles from a garage sale to ride back home to Neilsville. So um, came in handy that time.
yeah, yeah. You didn't feel like a vulture in need of All right.
I do have a bit of a fascination with estate sales where it's either somebody just died or they're like moving, like into a home or something. I don't know. But it's like basically their entire house is set up with all their stuff out. And you can like go in the house and like look at everything. And if you can, find someone with interests that you have, you're actually very likely to find, like a good um, treasure trove of whatever that thing is. Um, I just have never put in the work to like find them and go to them. And in the end, it's probably more work than it's worth either. But it is kind of interesting just to see somebody's life out on display like that, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
went to some estate sales a couple years ago. The town I live in, it's like an old oil town, so there's a bunch of like old people here who have lots of money, and as they pass away, and you're able to just like enter their house and like look at all these different it's like two people that live in a house, but the house has got like 4 or 5 bedrooms, and it's all just filled with stuff because they got so much money that they just buy more and more stuff. And like it was like I was looking at like basketball cards from like the 90s, like Dream Team, like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, like really cool stuff, records. Um, like they have, they're selling their whole house, so you can get kitchen utensils. Some of the coolest stuff is in their garage. I got like garden utensils. I got like rakes and shovels and stuff I bought at one. And, like some of their like weird old kitchen appliances. I got uh I got 2 bedside tables with like a lamp like built into the bedside table. So I don't know. It's weird because I'm like these people just passed away, and I'm like, I hope they didn't pass away in their bed because that's really close to this table that I'm using now. So like I don't know. I don't want to like have like a poltergeist event where like I pull some spirit with it.
It's a stink of death on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
smells like dentures.
but then, okay, in estate sales, do are the owners there when you're looking at their stuff? Because that's the
Uh,
big difference with garage sales.
Um, yeah, I think a lot of times like their family is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't like that. I don't like it.
Yeah, so there's like, like the daughter or son of the people who died, and then there's the people who are running the estate sale, and they get like, I don't know what the percentage is, 10% of all sales or 15%. So they're kind of running everything.
In terms of like used clothes, what about like Goodwill, Dave? You never do any of that?
Um, like I don't know, like my mom has given me like birthday presents and Christmas presents, of like clothes that she found at Goodwill, and I'm just like, this does not count. Like this is not a present.
This
Like
doesn't count.
Nope,
you
try
can't buy
again.
me a used T-shirt.
That's great.
I've worn a lot
This
of Goodwill, St. Vinny's kind of used clothes in my day.
You could find vintage shit, right?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
like
But
I know I've
the
bought T-shirts and I've bought like cargo shorts, like but like nowadays you can't because like Goodwill is so expensive. I swear
oh,
you can go online and find stuff for cheaper than buying stuff at Goodwill. They want like $12 for a pair of pants that are like old and gross.
I thought you were gonna say like they don't sell cargo shorts because no one wears that shit anymore. That's like dad pants or dad shorts, right? Like, I mean, I feel like I
Yeah,
dress like a modern dad right now.
yeah, they go good with my really tall, long white socks. So
Under
And your
wearing under your
sandals.
set. Yeah. Well, should we press click on the garage door opener? And oh wow. Someone else want to go next?
is it my turn?
Sure is.
Um, I I hate. Oh yeah, my hate is you know I probably spend too much time on the internet. It's probably my problem. But there's so many conspiracy theories out there that like there's a million different topics you could talk about with conspiracy theories. Some of them like really get like a hatred out of me because I believe in some conspiracy theories, but some of them are so stupid that like there's no way you can believe it. And the one I hate the most is that the moon landing was faked and that we never went to the moon. Um, well, I mean, the people who believe in that the Earth is flat and not round, that might actually be the worst one. But this is like a close second. But I don't know. It's just I don't even know what to say about it other than I hate it. It's just super annoying to me that people are like, "Yeah, we didn't go to the moon." They're like, "It's then why didn't we go back?" And it's like, "Well, NASA did it. It was funded by the government. The government is terrible with money. Like we all know that they make terrible decisions with money. They didn't want to like, keep throwing money at NASA anymore, and they're like, we're not gonna go to the moon anymore. We don't want to pay for it." You know? So it made sense that they stopped. Um, like I'm not a scientist, but like when I think about the technology it takes to go to the moon and land on the moon, I don't feel like it takes a lot of technology. I feel like it's just like a really complex math problem where you gotta, shoot your rocket and point it in the right direction, and then, that way the moon is where it's supposed to be, and your rocket will end up flying towards the moon, and then you gotta be able to, at a certain distance, you gotta turn on your thrusters, and I don't know. It doesn't seem that complicated to me
Yeah,
that they
it's
could
not
do
brain surgery.
this in the 60s, but some people say that there's no way we went to the moon. What'd you say?
So it's not brain surgery.
No, of course not. Like that's like with medical stuff in the brain, there's a certain amount of mystery to it, but we're just flying a rocket to a big rock in the sky, right? I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Go ahead, John.
Um, so my grandpa died before I was born, but my dad says that he claimed the moon landing never actually happened. So he was an old school denier.
Oh,
Like I think he
Oh,
died in like 78 or something. So that, that was like less than a decade. So he was like denying it in real time. Um, yeah, like as far as like conspiracy theories go, I think this is one where the motivation actually makes sense. Like why would you fake the moon landing? Like there's actually a reason for it, as opposed to like all the other ones where it's like, why would you fake the flat earth? Like I don't know. Like there's just no
because they just want to be in control, man. They just want to tell you what to think.
yeah. Um But yeah, I agree. Like, I it's one of those things where it's like it's fun to think about, but then when you're like, oh, you actually believe that, then it just becomes not fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the thought experiment, like, oh, like, why would you fake a moon landing? And if you're going to, how would you do it? Like, it's a fun thought experiment. But then if you're talking to someone who actually 100% believes that's the case, then it's like, okay.
Kind of like how
I just had
sorry, but doesn't Scott Glenn or one of them he just straight up punches people who question
I don't
oh
remember
yeah,
who it was, but yeah.
it
Buzz,
was
I think.
Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking, because like with a lot of conspiracy theories, like they always talk about like who is trying to put this narrative out there. So what if like the Russians are still bitter about us making the moon landing first? So they're like, we're gonna convince the entire population to think that it was faked. They didn't even do it.
Yeah.
I read somewhere where like today 15% of Americans believe it was faked.
One
And
five.
yes, yes.
Wow.
And in Russia, it's like 25% believe America faked it. And that was the other thing, like you mentioned, like it would make sense to fake it because it was, it was the race against the Ruskies, right? And to say that, oh, we got there first, it's like, oh yeah, you could kind of understand all the motivation behind it. But like all that stuff has been debunked and stuff.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, but like what's crazy is that, a lot of people were like, oh, JFK, when he just said, we're going to do it, I got to do it. We chose to go to the moon, not because it's easy. I'm the mayor of Springfield. But didn't he just say like we're gonna do it? And scientists and shit were like, we don't. Well, we need money, Mr. President. And it was just like a rush to do it. I don't. What did he give them? 5 years to do it or something?
He said by the end of
End of the decade,
the
yeah.
decade. Yeah.
Marilyn. Me. Well, what's the name? Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe. Me and my brother, we had our way with her.
Did you watch Room 237?
What's that?
It's a documentary with all these conspiracy theories about Stanley Kubrick
The Shining,
and The
right?
Shining. Yeah.
Oh, I
And
haven't.
like they make a pretty compelling case that The Shining was just Kubrick's admission that he helped fake the moon landing.
Oh, yes. Gotta check that out.
Like I watched 2001 Space Odyssey, like
Mm.
knowing this conspiracy theory, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this movie and then try and like see like, okay, yes, this qualifies him. He could definitely do the moon landing. But the 2001 Space Odyssey, there's barely any space stuff involved other than like they're on a spaceship. And then there's like the one scene where they're like walking in like the giant circle gyroscope that is the spaceship, and he's kind of walking against gravity. Like that was the only scene where I'm like, okay, that's like less gravity. Other than that, I'm like, I don't see anything that would qualify Stanley Kubrick to do this over any other like director or producer of movies.
I think it's just because he did a space movie. I can't think of any other people because that's
And
way
because he's the best, I guess, right?
yeah.
Or at
Wow.
least for the time, he was the best.
Yeah.
True. Well,
I mean, Spartacus, I mean, that was more like the landscape of the moon than anything in 2001, right?
I am Buzz Aldrin. Oh God. All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. Right before all this, I Wikipedia'd the whole entire thing. Really browsed through it real quick. It was a long ass page. But yeah, it's just like, what about this? Debunked. What about this? Debunked. And I don't know, someone, what was it? The strongest argument or whatever is like, oh, we faked the first one, but the rest are real. So then you could kind of feel like, oh, okay, because we did go. I don't know. It's so bizarre. It's yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, like I think I watched like a Joe Rogan podcast where he had Neil deGrasse Tyson on there, and he kind of just went like Joe Rogan was bringing up all the conspiracy theories about it, and Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of just went one by one, like, no, this is how this works, this is how this works, and basically he just explained to Joe Rogan why they did the moon landing and how it was done. And by the end of it, Joe Rogan's like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." It kind of just convinced him, and it convinced me.
And that was last week.
No, I mean that podcast was probably 5 or 6
The
years
recent
ago. It was a
recent
long time ago.
converts are always the most vocal. There was a good Mythbusters on that too, where they like um like people talked about like, oh, the shadows and the photographs don't make sense with a single point of light, and then he like created like a model landscape and like basically recreated those same photos and stuff, and um like that's the only one I really remember, but I remember he like visually debunked a lot of them too. It was a pretty interesting episode.
So when
Yeah,
did?
because
Oh, go ahead.
well, the single point of light, they're saying that the sun is the only point of light on the moon. Because
Yeah.
that's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because like the Earth is right there, and it's reflecting all of this light onto the moon as well. Just like the moon reflects light onto us. Like there's moonlight, so like I don't know.
Well, okay. So what was it? 69 that we went to the moon?
Oh yeah.
Was
Yes,
it? Yeah.
allegedly.
Okay, okay. But and then John's grandpa in real time was like, bullshit. So it's imagine that because you see so many people who believe a certain thing, even if you show them evidence, they're like, no, mm-mm. So we're gonna, a fucking moon landing conspiracist is being born right now. You know, I think it's just going to continue on, despite until maybe the future where we start going to the moon regularly. Even then, I'm sure some crackpot is going to say something. So it's crazy. They've been here to stay since '69, baby.
Yeah, I know. Like Elon Musk was saying how SpaceX wants to go to Mars, and everyone's like, "Well, what the heck? Why don't you want to go to the moon? The moon's like right there." And Elon Musk was like, "Well, it's just like a gray rock of dust." He's like, "There's nothing to be found there." He's like, "Mars, there might be something cool over there because it's far away."
That'd be great. They're like, we're
Yeah.
gonna go. There's a black hole, and we could pop out the other side of the galaxy and shit. Like, yeah, but the moon's right there. God damn it! All right. Well, should we go to a different topic, or should we fake going to a different topic?
All right, Vince, why don't you go? No, I'm gonna go.
Oh,
Um, I'm indifferent to a place where you might find conspiracy theories such as these, which is Reddit. And I used to be pretty big into Reddit. Like I was into Dig back in the day and then switched over to Reddit when that took over. And it was kind of like for a long time, like my go-to thing when I have nothing to do, I'll just pull out my phone and start browsing through Reddit threads. And um, I've come to just, I don't know, at some point it just felt like, okay, that was a huge waste of time. Like I just did this for 10 minutes or longer, like sat scrolling through it for like an hour or something. And like I have nothing to show for this time I just spent. And beyond that, just like looking back at it now, it was just always like it's the same dumb jokes over and over again. Like kind of the same memes all the time. And like the Reddit hive mind just gets like they have like there are certain opinions about things, and like you just can't like if you bring up something counter to whatever their thought is, that people just get like ridiculed and like downvoted and all this stuff. And um the reason I'm indifferent and I'm not going to say I hate it is just because like there's a lot of good small like subreddits, like targeted communities where they are good resources for stuff, and they actually are treating each other nicely and stuff like that. Like there's good places on there, but yeah, overall it just is not appealing to me anymore.
Dave, do you ever go on? I barely do.
Um, I like I'll go on Reddit, simply for like the subreddits of like certain specific things, and it's generally like related to like a TV show that I'm watching. Like I've been like binge watching Survivor. So after I watch a season, I like to go on there and see what other people think of it, and like who the winner of season 43 was. And just like, did everybody agree with who won that season? Like, what was the sentiment of? Because I'm like, I didn't feel like the guy was deserving. I'm like, what did other people think? And a lot of people kind of agreed with me. So I like to watch stuff for that, or I like to go on Reddit for that. And then also like uh for like football opinions and news, like certain sports, it's interesting. But like if you're looking at like a vague, super vague topic with like a community of a large portion of people, like there's conspiracy theory Reddit, that's unlike readable. Like it's so much garbage on there. Like it really like hurts my brain because it's just like people who are like NPCs, like non-player characters that like they can't think for themselves. They just say the same stuff. They shit on the same stuff. They repeat like the same like ideas that they have. And they just all they do is just attack anybody who believes differently than them without like really digging into like the data or the facts or like what is perceived as a fact. So it's just a lot of garbage on Reddit for the most part. The thing I dislike the most, and maybe it's because I don't understand how to use it properly, is somebody will post a question, and then as you scroll down, there's the first answer, and that's the answer that got the most upvotes. And then I have to scroll through 20 replies of that answer before I get to a second answer. Like, it's like the whole discussion is just about the first answer and then not like the second answer and like below that. So I don't understand if I don't know how to use the app or the website properly. But I feel like I'm always constantly scrolling. I'm like, where do I get to another reply to that question? And I'm like, they went off on some tangent about something that someone said that's unrelated, and then there's just like 30 replies to something that's not even related.
So it just sounds like the worst part of almost any website I've ever been on. YouTube, the comments suck. A regular web page about an article, and then there's some comments, and it's so shitty usually. So that's what it sounds like. Comment section, the website. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, when you mention Reddit, I'm like, well, I've heard of it, and I've heard some controversy about basically what you guys have said, but I used it for like, look, I wanted to look up the Misfits, but I didn't know how to navigate. Like, I guess you have to click on every single thing, and then that'll start the under thread or whatever the fuck. And it was a little too complex, but I don't know. I've barely been on it, and I've avoided it. Yeah, I'll probably stay away. It sounds just, toxic as usual. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the epitome of like the toxic, internet. Same with YouTube comments or Facebook comments. It's pretty terrible. I mean, it can be useful at times if you're looking up a specific question about a specific topic. You can type it into the search bar and see if somebody else has asked the same question. You can, there is some knowledge to be found on there, but it's not like something that you like regularly like want to bookmark and like, oh, let me scroll through an hour of Reddit. Like, it's just gonna poison your brain.
John,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you
Like
get
basically,
a? I was gonna ask if you do you have a profile? Like, do you say stuff on there? And
no, I've had like a few random profiles over the years, and maybe I've said like posted like less than 5 comments ever. It was pretty much ever just reading stuff.
okay.
But yeah, I think the more specific of a topic or community you can find, the better chance that it's like okay. But yeah, anything like that's just a general interest topic is going to be horrible typically.
And wouldn't you have to go through like, I mean, how long are these threads? Like some of, I'm sure, have been up for years. So would you have to start from that beginning and just scroll through years and years of comments?
There's different ways to sort it. You can, sort it by newest comments, for example, or sort by the most upvoted comments. Um, so it depends on how you look at it. But typically, like a thread will be active for, like a couple days at the most. And then if like a lot, people aren't really posting to it much after that point anymore. Like they'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah. Well, should we get out of here post
Let's
haste? That's lazy. Who's next?
downvote this topic.
Yeah. Oh, please. I don't want to be reminded. Is it I?
It is.
Okay, I'll go with my love, and that is chips to snack on, the edible chips. I it felt like a joke when I originally put it. I'm like, oh, I love to eat chips, but I really thought about it, and chips has been around for a long time, boys. One of the very first things, like in high school, I was, let's see, a 5'11", 145 pounds going into senior year. I was always really skinny, but I got myself a job, and outside of summer jobs, I would usually have that, but I had one during school, so I had a little extra jing in my pocket. And what I remembered from other kids, they would always be snacking on chips, in the commons area with the vending machines, and I secretly like, oh man, to be one of them. So now that I got money, I started to snack. But the other reason is because my brother was getting mad because I wouldn't eat. Like I said, I was really skinny, and he was just like, eat the fucking breakfast. I'm like, oh shit, I would eat. But I would have to be told to. So then I was like, okay, well then I'll eat. I got $1 here. I'll get a bag of chips. Specifically, uh, thank God it's Friday's potato skin chips, cheddar and bacon.
Oh,
And
those are good.
yeah, exactly. So it was so good, awesome to have that at school. And by the end of senior year, I gained 10 pounds. I went from a featherweight to a lightweight. So yeah. I was like, thanks, starch.
Thank you. You're blowing my mind that you were like, at some point, you were introduced to the concept of a potato chip. Like, I don't remember a pre-potato chip life. Potato chips have always been there for me.
No, they've always been there. It's just that specifically, I remember gaining weight because I started to snack. And yeah, I mean, I would eat, but again, this is a little personal, but I basically had anorexia, I would say, in high school. I thought it was heavy, but my family were like, no, you're skin and bones. And it wasn't until my girlfriend said like, oh, I love scrawny guys, obviously. And I'm like, what? And
And
that's
you're
when I
like, why don't
looked
you
in
go
the
find one?
yeah, if you could look past this giant walrus. but yeah, anyways, I'm just saying chips help me gain my weight, but in a good way. I'm not blaming it. I still eat it today. I believe that sandwiches don't feel complete without chips. Um, my favorite chip of all time is Doritos Salsa Verde. Um, that was a seasonal thing. Dave and I both, right? Like you would like text me photographs
Oh
of it, like
yeah.
it's in Walmart and shit like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because they had them in like any seasonal item. You think that when they introduce it, you're like, oh, it's gonna be here forever. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, they take it away, and you're like, that was like the best Dorito ever. And then they just took it away. And then at some point, like I've gone to like Nebraska or Wyoming and all this, or Oklahoma, and then they'll have salsa verde chips, and I'm like, they have them. They're back. They're here. When I moved to Oklahoma, I thought they had them here, and I was so happy. And I like bought a couple bags, and I ate them. I loved them, and then all of a sudden they were gone again. And I'm like, no, just when I thought I had them again, they take them away.
Well, like during the pandemic when there was shortages and stuff, they just decided to cut Salsa Verde. They have not been around for the past 4 years.
Really?
Yeah,
I
sucks.
just thought they were in some other state, and I needed to travel.
Um, decadence, true decadence to me is nachos. You know, put cheese, meat, all that stuff on chips is so great to me. Um, uh, Finally, I'll get into a few pop culture things. I love that in Trailer Park Boys, Ricky, chips are currency. You know, he's like, all right, I'll do it, but it's gonna cost this, and a bag of chips. You know, or like he'll like forgive someone as long as he gets some chips out of it and stuff like that. One of the greatest things about the movie The Golden Child when Eddie Murphy jumps into that neighborhood, they're having a picnic and they're all scared. He's got his gun. He's like, relax, relax. I just want some chips. He grabs it. That was like one of my favorite jokes. So I love chips a lot, and this Thanksgiving, like every Thanksgiving, my duty is to bring the chips and dip. Everyone else, they're like, "Oh, I'm bringing in my, cranberry whatever," and this guy's like, "I'm bringing this dish that I always bring in, like, bean casserole." I'm always the chips and dip guy for the family. That's how much they know that I love chips and dip or chips. Yes. What about you guys?
I do like chips a lot. One thing that's frustrating as somebody who doesn't eat animal products is there's like milk powder in like every chip when it
Oh,
doesn't even make sense. Like sour cream and onion. Okay, yeah, makes sense. You know, you're gonna put milk powder in that. But like there'll be like barbecue chips that have it, or like salt and vinegar chips that have it. I'm like, what? Like, why would you do that? Like, why? Why you do that to me?
that's too bad.
Um, I've never heard of salsa verde Doritos, but I do like the Doritos in the purple bag, like their sweet
Sweet chili?
chili. Yeah, because those ones don't have milk powder in them, unlike all the other ones.
Oh, cool. How about you, Dave?
Um, I love chips. I agree with you if you have a sandwich, you gotta have chips with it because like when I'm trying to eat healthy, like or like just eating at home rather than eating out, I'll get stuff for sandwiches. I'll make sandwiches, but like if I'm trying to eat healthy and I don't have chips to go with my sandwich, like I don't know what the hell to eat with my sandwich. Like I have some pickles on the side or some carrots, or then I was like, well, I got a box or a container of mixed nuts. And I'm just like, what? Like none of this works. Like I don't know anything else to pair with it other than some Lay's potato chips. Like those are perfect, or some Doritos or some Cheetos. Like it, because not only is there chips, but there's like you have Cheetos, which is like a different variation. Funyuns, and there's all other kind of weird things out there. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. They are awesome.
How do you guys feel about the phenomena that is flaming hot, where they put it on everything now? I love it personally. I prefer Verde was the one that blew up, but flaming hot is fine. I enjoy it.
I thought it was weird at first, and I was really against it, but I'm on board now. I'm okay with it. Like, I like flaming hot stuff. It is good. They have some Pringles that are like barbecue Pringles, but they're called scorching hot, and they're a little bit like the flaming hot Doritos or flaming hot Cheetos, but they're on a Pringle chip, and it's really good.
Do you guys
I don't think I've.
count? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
Uh, I don't think I've ever had a flaming hot item, unfortunately. So I can't contribute.
Hmm. Oh, that's too bad because it's interesting. It really has. They made a movie out about it, the Flaming
Yeah,
Hot.
I watched the movie,
Oh, did you?
obviously. Yeah.
Did you lick the screen, John?
Oh, if only.
How do you guys
I,
feel about pretzels? Do you count that as chip, or is that something else entirely?
Yeah,
it's in the
it's the same.
family.
Like, same aisle.
They're kind of worthless as far as
Oh.
snack items go. They're just, I don't know, they're bland and like if I'm having Chex Mix or something, I always just eat the pretzels first to get them out of the way, and then eat the stuff that actually tastes good.
Rolled Gold's cheddar pretzels. Those are really good. I love those. Pretzels by themselves, the little stick, I will eat
Oh
them.
yeah, actually you mentioned it. There's like a jalapeno pretzel that's really good that I actually do like.
Is that Rolled Gold? Who makes those?
Might be Schneider.
Schneider.
Is it like the big broken pieces of
Yeah,
pretzel?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh my
those are
God.
pretty good. I went on a kick where I would eat those and I liked them. But for whatever reason, like pretzels, I'll eat pretzels like once every like 3 years. Like I don't know. They just don't do it for me anymore. But I do. I only like the ones that are flavored, like honey mustard or like cheddar jalapeno or like maybe like a buffalo type thing. Oh, that reminds me. I made for the first time ever, I made buffalo chicken dip. And I used the Tostitos scoops with the buffalo chicken dip. The best dip I've ever made. Like I was devouring chips in this dip. It was so good.
Oh man, I love chips and salsa and like the scoop chips where you're just creating these little bowls of salsa that you're eating are like amazing.
Hmm. And it's like the best part of a Mexican restaurant. So when you sit down, you order your drinks, and then they bring out chips and salsa or chips and queso.
Yes, queso. That's the stuff right there. That's great. Oh, finally, popcorn. Is that chip? Or is that more pretzel than chip? More popcorn than pretzel? What do you think?
It's definitely more popcorn than pretzel.
Thank God.
Um, Same ballpark again, but I'd say pretzels are more chips than popcorn are.
What? Really? Okay, well, shit. I just need to say that large soft pretzel is where it's at. Like I love soft pretzel. The little stick kind are fine. I will eat them, but it's the soft pretzel where it's at. Like fucking uh uh the crust at Little Caesars made out of pretzel is fantastic.
Oh, that is good. I had that like once, like a couple months ago. It was like the best choice they ever made. And it had like I got instead of the pizza sauce, they put like the nacho cheese on there.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was good. I was not expecting it at all. I was like, this could be really bad, and it ended up being amazing. Good job, Little Caesars.
Finally, pork grinds. Is that a chip?
It is trash.
It
Hate
looks
pork rinds.
unhealthy. It looks yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know what it technically is. Is it just pig skin that's deep fried in pig fat?
Oh,
It tastes disgusting. I was on like a keto diet where I was like, okay, no carbs. And like pork rinds have no carbs because it's just like animal fat, basically. They're so disgusting. And you can get different flavors where it's like, oh, it's a barbecue flavored or like whatever. They're so disgusting. Like I could never eat more than like one piece without wanting to throw up and just throw it all away.
I think pork rinds are more chip than popcorn is.
I was so
They kind of are.
disappointed. I was so disappointed in when I ate my first pork rind because the movie Ninja Turtles, where Donatello and Michelangelo, they're like pork rind, pork rind. And he eats it. I was like, yeah, man, it's fucking. I want to do that with my brother. We'll recreate the scene, but the pork rinds are really gross. So that it's like fluffy, but I don't know. It's so bizarre looking. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks super fluffy and airy and like it would be like light, but then it's like kind of hard.
yeah.
I don't know. It's all over the map.
All right. Well, should we get out of the chip aisle and into another one aisle that's not chips?
Yeah. I know a good aisle. Let's go over to the health and beauty section. And perhaps we'll go to the oral hygiene section because I have an indifference today, and I'm indifferent to brushing my teeth twice a day. Some people might find it gross, and I do admit that yes, like if you haven't brushed your teeth and your breath is gross, like yeah, it's disgusting. Um, but like I wake up every day, the first thing I do is I pee and then I brush my teeth every day. But I rarely will brush my teeth before I go to bed, unless I'm planning on, getting it on. But I'm just doing that to be nice to my wife. If I'm just going to bed and there's nothing happening, I'm not brushing my teeth beforehand. And like, I don't think it's a huge deal. Like, I have all my teeth, they're well maintained, but I will brush my teeth once a day and that's it. I call it good at once. I don't do it the twice a day. Um, like in my head, I justify it. Maybe I'm just justifying it because I have, you know, subpar oral hygiene. But in my head, I'm like, humans have been around for tens of thousands of years. They didn't always have toothbrushes and like Colgate or Crest, They
Just
probably just had like a
Aquafresh.
stick. Yeah,
Oh,
you
poor
know,
bastards.
they probably just had like a little bamboo stick to, like a toothpick basically to pick at their teeth. That's about it. Like, oh, am I
Yeah.
wrong?
Yeah. Where are those cavemen now? They're all those modeling jobs they got with their teeth.
So one thing I have heard is that um if you had never brushed your teeth ever, you'd be better off than if you brushed your teeth for a while and then stopped doing it. So I think like naturally we have like a better um microbiome of like good bacteria and beneficial bacteria and all this stuff in our mouths. And then once you start getting into oral hygiene, it's like scorched earth on those mofos, and you're like just, you know, killing everything. And then whatever comes back first and quickest is, what's gonna take hold in your mouth. And I think also just eating like fewer processed foods and stuff, you're you're not, like potato chips, for example, like you eat chips and that stuff just gunks on your teeth and just sits there, um, you know, turning into plaque and all that stuff. So I think that has a lot to do with it. That being said, I agree. I'm definitely not huge into brushing my teeth twice every day. Although I always brush my teeth at night, actually, because I feel like you're getting all the gunk off
Oh,
from the day, and going to bed clean, in case anything's gonna happen. But then like in the morning, I get up, I'm drinking, like sipping on coffee the whole morning, eating breakfast, like so I could brush my teeth immediately when I get up. But like I just woke up from having brushed my teeth, so it seems kind of redundant. And then there's like beyond that, then there's like never a window where like, oh, I'm just gonna have my next drink of coffee, or have a piece of toast or something, and then just never really bother in the morning.
um, isn't there the thing where like you have to wait after you eat to brush your teeth? Because like to me, I wake up and I want to eat, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. You're supposed to wait, like, was it like 15 minutes or a half hour or something? Because like the acid from the food is gonna weaken your enamel. So if you brush right away, you might actually like damage the enamel.
yeah. Well, growing up, I mean, I've always had terrible teeth. Like at first, well, I didn't have any teeth at all in the front until the dentist was like, "Oh shit, turns out there's like a bunch backed up in there. And if we remove three teeth from it sucked. It hurt so bad, but they had to remove three teeth so that the rest will come out. And I have three front teeth. People usually have two, but I have actually three. And
You're like
then,
Tom Cruise.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
shit.
Tom Cruise, when they do like the center line of his face, it's like right in the middle of a tooth, and it looks like he has three front teeth.
Oh my gosh. So you're saying Scientology will help me make sense of this all? All right. Well, anyways, it's always been like they came out crooked, too many teeth there in the front. So to me, it was like I've never been proud of my teeth. I think that's a point of pride, or probably a good reason why people brush their teeth twice a day, or go above and beyond. But I've never had respect for my teeth. I'm like, look at you, bunch of layabouts. But over the years, I have, you know, the whole thing about like if you have plaque, it could fucking go down into your heart. You ever hear that?
I have heard about something like that. I don't know exactly how that works. I definitely have heard the correlation that, people who brush their teeth regularly have better heart health or something like that. But I don't
Hmm.
know if there's actual causation there or not.
Yeah, what I do know, what I remember hearing is that you don't want to have like a tooth pulled before you have like a heart operation. Something to do with like your nervous system, because like when you have a tooth pulled, the your tooth goes into your basically that giant nerve that's going to your tooth that's keeping it alive. That nerve opening is still open, and then bacteria can get into that nerve, and then it can travel down through that. And all your nerves in your body are connected, and it can travel down to all the nerves that are covering your heart, because your heart is part of kind of your nervous system that beats your heart, is all the nerves that kind of travel as well. So like if you are ever going to have heart surgery, they always like make sure like, hey, make sure you didn't go to the dentist within a month or something like that. Something like it's something like, yeah, I definitely have to look into because I'm not sure all like the ins and outs of it.
So it's better to wait half an hour after heart surgery to get that tooth pulled.
Yeah.
You're like, doctor, I could barely take this heart thing. Like, no, it's going out. Ah, shit. Oh man. The other thing though, I got to mention about my teeth. I don't know why I'm being so open, but so that third tooth, my Tom Cruise tooth, got chipped like 8 years ago, something like that. So that's just made me look down on my teeth even more than I look down. Yeah. So I don't know. I am trying to do better. I do want to brush more often and stuff like that. Um, but it is hard to do it twice. I haven't really considered the morning or the evening. I think it's easier for me in the morning. But yeah, it's fun.
What about flossing? Are you a religious flosser?
I do floss. I have those little sticks. I mean, it's really bad for the environment because they're little plastic little handles, you know. I prefer
Yeah, I
that.
used those, and now I have this thing from Quip where it's like a handle, and it just takes like that much floss, and it it holds it tight, and then you can floss with that. So you're only like you're not using that single use plastic every day, which that has worked way better. I've never in my life like been able to like just take this string of floss and do a good job with it. Like I don't know how people do that.
You know, the piano wire technique.
Yeah. Oh, my fingers hurt.
Yeah. Like I have all like the single use like little toothpick flosser sticks. But like to me they're like I have them in my truck like when I'm driving somewhere and then also just like
This.
in the living room. But it's like it's almost like it's like a nervous tick thing, like an oral fixation, like rather than like smoking a cigarette or smoking on a vape or chewing on gum, you just have like the flosser pick and you kind of floss your teeth as just like something to do. Like I'll do that like every night when I'm just sitting watching TV. I'll just start flossing my teeth. And it's nothing to do with hygiene. Like I don't do it because I feel like, oh, I'm cleaning my teeth. I just do it because it's like something to do. I don't know.
Okay, I thought you were gonna be like, I do this and just try and gauge my wife's response. Is she into it tonight or no?
Don't make me get that tube of toothbrush.
Oh man. Oh, what about mouthwash? You guys, what do you guys use? Any?
No, not
No.
really.
No,
Oh
I
wow,
used
really?
to, but I've never gotten into it. I don't really care for it.
I bought a new. Usually, I use Scope and like I don't like it when it burns. I think I get alcohol free. But I got like it's called like Therma Breath or something. It's like a brand new thing because I do have a cavity back here and I don't want my breath to smell to all Christ. So I bought some of that. It's fresh on the market, but eventually I'm gonna have to fucking go into the dentist. You know, I'm 39 next year. It's either that or the thumb up the ass. And I
I think
choose
it
Dude,
should
the
it should be both actually. I mean,
right.
just make sure they do the tooth first and not the ass first. And hopefully they change their gloves too.
It smells
I
terrible.
went to
It's
the
just a cavity. One of many cavities we're about to explore. God.
uh, I went to the dentist last year and I walked in and I was just like, yeah, I got a cavity. It was in one of my wisdom teeth. And I'm just like, I got a cavity in my wisdom tooth. I'm like, I think I need you guys to pull it. And they're like, okay, like let's take a look at it. And they're like, and they brought in the dentist. He came in and he's like, okay. He's like, you just think you want that one pulled there? He's like, yeah, I got a cavity and it needs to get pulled. He's like, you want to do that today? And I was like, I guess. Like I wasn't planning on doing it today. I thought we were just like setting up a visit and then we'll schedule when you're gonna pull it. And he's like, well, I'll just have him bring in some paperwork and I'll be back in a couple minutes. They bring in like three pieces of paper. I sign it. He comes back in with a big ass needle, numbs me, pops it out in like 22 seconds. And then he shoves a bunch of gauze in my mouth and he's like, all right, you're good. And I was like, shit. I'm like, that was super fast and super easy. Like, he did it. It was a pro. Like, I would totally go back to this dentist. It was so quick and painless. I was pleasantly surprised.
It is that time where they yanked out three of my teeth just to make room for those other ones. That was like I still think about how badly that hurt, and I'm hoping that the tooth science is up to par now, where it's not going to hurt that goddamn bad because that really has kept me out of the dentist chair.
oh yeah, I think things
Yes.
have definitely improved in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's just the initial needle stick because they have to take that. needle and stick it right into the root nerve of that tooth that they're gonna pull. So that's painful, and that'll make you clench up, and it really hurts when they stick you. But it's just about like 2 seconds of pain, and then you're numbed, and then you don't feel a damn thing.
One more thing. So you have wisdom teeth. So do I. But I keep on hearing that you have to get those pulled out no matter what.
No, I've got all four of
Uh,
mine still. If they're not causing a problem, you can keep them.
Oh, okay.
I've got 3 out of 4, so I'm 75% as smart as John.
But my wisdom teeth are you they're crooked as well. Does that matter?
As long as they're not like actively like pushing against your other teeth or against your jaw or something in a way that's negative, it's probably fine. But
Hmm.
I don't
All
know.
right. So I am smart, but in a weird way. Crooked. Crooked intelligence. I'll take it. All right. Should we
Hashtag not a dentist.
yes, excellent. All right. Segue into something else. Let's pull this
Let's
tooth
brush.
out.
Okay, yeah.
Brush away the topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we
Let's
go.
brush this aside and move on to something else.
Was it
All right.
John?
I love the video game series Mega Man. Um, Back from the debut on the original NES and the most recent one being on the latest Nintendo Switch. Um, I definitely like had a couple of them when I was a kid, and they were super hard. And looking back at how hard they are, I'm like questioning if I ever actually beat them when I was a kid or not. But I definitely remember playing them. But I just like the formula of the game. Basically, how they typically work is you when you start the game, you can go up against any of like these eight bosses. They all have different levels of like platforming leading up to them. And when you beat the boss, you gain their power, and then it's kind of like rock paper scissors logic where the different bosses all have weaknesses against the power of some other boss. So there's a lot of strategy into deciding like, okay, what level do I do first? What's going to be the best order to play the game in? Um, and basically building your strategy for playing the game around that. And then it's just the gameplay is fun, just running and jumping and shooting and um, using your robot powers and all that stuff. Um, I definitely tend to prefer like the earlier versions of the games, like the original ones from like the 1980s. But like I did have fun like playing the newest one as well. Um, are either of you familiar with either of the or any of these games, or have you played them at all, or no?
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. I own is the newest one Mega Man 11?
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually own that for the Switch, but I've never played it. So I have to comment on that one. But I do own this, and I mean to play it because the reason I bought it was I'm a huge fan of the Super Nintendo Mega Man.
Oh yeah.
Was it Mega Man X?
Yeah.
That was the first one of the first games I had on Super Nintendo after, like Super Mario World. But I absolutely loved it. I love the different bosses, like because I was playing on the Switch. I was playing that game on like the old SNES console on there, and like I remembered some of the stuff, like where it's like, oh, I have to beat the eagle boss or whatever to get the wind power, and once I have the wind power, then I can beat the octopus thing under the water, and then once I beat the octopus thing under the water, I can get the missiles, and then I can beat the ice penguin guy in the ice world, and just exactly like you were saying, like you can And like the fact that I remembered that stuff from when I was like 12 years old, it like gave me such a nostalgia of the game and like how the strategy works and what levels you're going to go and try and do first. Um, I don't recall if I know I beat all of the regular bosses in that game and got all their powers. And then after that, I know I beat like a couple levels after it, but I don't even remember how far it goes. It's been so long. But the game is awesome. It's really cool. And that's why I bought Mega Man 11 because I'm like, I kind of want to like try that and see if it's good like that other game I played.
Growing up,
Yeah.
there was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I was just gonna say Mega Man 11 is good because it has like the spirit of the original games, but it makes it like less unfair and like the original games were all built on like the arcade philosophy of like we got to get quarters out of people, and now they're like, oh, let's actually like if you die a few times, it's okay. You don't have to like start from the beginning and all that stuff.
Um, Growing up, wasn't there like a big like was it called Meteoroid or Metroid? Metroid.
Mm,
Oh, Metroid, yeah.
yeah.
Wasn't there like a oh, you're either Metroid or Mega Man? I felt like that was a thing. No?
I don't remember that, but that would not surprise me at all. Like I feel like people are always forming rivalries around things where like you can enjoy both of those things.
Yeah. I had Super Metroid too. I loved that game. It was great. But I
Yeah.
loved Mega Man as well. Like they're both awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
thought you.
definitely discovered the Mega Man games before Metroid, but like at this point I've played every Mega Man game and every Metroid game. So
Oh, okay, cool. That's the female, right? She's a woman in Metroid.
spoiler alert.
Funny fact, I actually own the new Metroid for Nintendo Switch, and I have only played it like 20 minutes.
Oh
It was
God.
so impossibly difficult to play that I like stopped playing it. Then I just went back to playing Zelda.
Oh man. Metroid Dread is so good. Yeah.
Is it a really difficult game, or am I just need to get back into it again?
Just need to get back into it again. It is
Okay,
it
because
is
it
yeah, it
just
does
was
have
like a
like a
maze.
learning
I couldn't
curve.
figure out where to go.
Yeah. I mean that's the thing with Metroid games. It's like you're backtracking all the time because you get a new power and like, oh, now I can get into this area where I couldn't get before. And like it is like intentionally like maze like for sure. Yeah.
Growing up, I didn't play a lot. We had a Nintendo, but my brother was sort of a hog, and I'd be like, all right, well, I'll just sit here and watch, whatever. But I did remember I liked the look of Mega Man. I like the blue suit, the helmet, and the gun is awesome. I really like that a lot. I remember playing it, and I thought this is very Mario-esque, but when Mario has that fucking firepower the whole time, right? You could just shoot that cannon
Mhm.
all the time. And I thought that was a nice, like, yeah, get rid of the have to find the flower and shit like that. So that was cool. And also the music, I like 8-bit music, it's definitely nostalgia. And it's kind of nice because it's not nothing against the Mario stuff. I love that, it's ingrained in me, but Mega Man's just a little bit different and I like their stuff.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring up the music. I think like Mega Man is probably the best music on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Although Castlevania is up there as well for music for me anyway. But um, yeah, in fact, like I've sought out music from the composer of like the chip tunes for the Mega Man games and found some of her like newer stuff. And I don't know if either of you played Shovel Knight, but I know she did some of the music for that game as well because that's like a 8-bit retro nostalgia kind of game.
You mentioned chip tunes. Is that what they were originally called or what?
Yeah, so basically when you're making music from, like a microchip, it can only make so many noises, and figuring out how to make music out of those noises they call chip tunes.
Oh, cool. That might be a future love. I really dig that chiptune sound. Um, well, should we use our arm cannon and choose a different boss, aka a different topic? Eh, I believe I'm up.
Yeah.
All right, let's do my indifference, and that is I'm indifferent to being the oldest sibling. You may have heard some people have said, it's like when you're the oldest, you have more rules put upon you. You have more responsibility. You got to watch over your siblings, and you have a lot of firsts that you don't have a brother or sister to ask some advice about. Hey, you're the first through the gate, and you know what they say about those guys. They get shot up, man. Um, and you always have to set the example. I mean, at least that was again with the responsibilities where mom is like, "Hey, what if your siblings saw you act like that? You gotta set the example." I'm like, fine. So I feel like I've never had the chance to, fuck around really. I do believe that my siblings didn't have to obey as many rules and had as many restrictions as I. So that kind of it doesn't suck or anything, but it's kind of annoying where I'm like, hey man, I couldn't do that at your age, that sort of stuff. Um, and, it probably made me the man I am today, just like growing up immediately having to like do this and that. Yeah, I kind of wish that I knew the other aspect, like, oh, let me fuck up and let me, how do you guys feel? Because I know you guys are not the oldest. You're like second and third or something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
the
the
youngest of
youngest.
two.
The
Um,
youngest of three.
yeah, so don't know what it would be like to be the oldest sibling. Um, I have someone I know has a theory though that like for romantic partners, you should find someone who's the same as you. So you're either both the oldest kid or you're both the youngest or both middle children. And in my case, that's how it worked out. My wife is also the younger of two. What about you, Dave?
My wife is the youngest of two.
Yeah.
Wow,
But you're the youngest of
that's
three?
interesting.
Right, but
Yeah.
just being the youngest is the
No,
most
no,
important.
no. I want it to be exact.
Oh, okay. And I want each of the older siblings to be dating the older siblings of the other family.
Oh, I have to mention this though. It's not just being the oldest. I was the oldest of six. All right. So that was constant babysitting, constant like, hey, gotta give advice and stuff. I just don't know any other way. And it's sometimes it looks fun to be younger. There was a guy staying with us for shit, I don't know, a few months, maybe more. They thought he might be my stepdad's illegitimate son or whatever, right? So he moved in. So for like a couple months, I had a older brother type of dude. He was like a teenager and I was like in middle school or something like that. So I got to experience some stuff like wrestling and shit like that. But then he took off. So yeah, I wish I had more, but you guys both had sisters, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Were they? Go ahead.
I just remember like so my sister is 3 years older than me, and like I I think she always like wanted to do stuff with like, her little brother, and I just kind of wanted to be left alone to play with my Legos and stuff. Um, so yeah, I remember I don't know, we didn't like get along and didn't really, you know, like each other most of our childhood. And, you know, now we get along fine. But I don't know.
Was she okay? Well, Dave, you had two older sisters. Were they like, would they, you know, give you crap or were they nice? Like, what were they?
Like we didn't get along. Like I had two older sisters. We didn't get along at all. Like we didn't really like we would play together sometimes, you know, because you had no other choice. But it would always end in fighting. Like we never. It was somebody always ended up crying. Um, it felt like my two older sisters. They would always just fight with each other, and then I would just get annoyed that they're always fighting with each other. So then I would just kind of go off by myself and just be by myself and go play Mega Man or Metroid or whatever. Um, so, but like, I don't feel like in any way that like my mom put like more rules on my oldest sister, to be like, hey, set a good example for your younger siblings. Because like, I mean, I feel like my parents maybe should have, because I feel like my oldest sister, like she was always getting into trouble. She was always kind of being kind of an asshole sometimes. Like she would just be like mean for no reason. But like I don't know, it was just kind of her personality. She was kind of just rebellious when she was younger. But I'm glad I'm the youngest because the idea of like being the oldest and having the responsibility of like, all right, everybody's looking up to you, you know, especially if you got, you know, five siblings that are looking up to you. Like that sounds terrible to me. It's like I don't know. And it sounds like your mom, she kind of believed in like a trickle down parenting
Trickle
system where
down
she's like,
economics.
yeah, like I'm gonna give all the rules
Well,
to Vince, and then if Vince follows them, the rest of the little ducklings will just, you know, they'll follow in his wake.
Well, mommy. I will say though, I am glad to say that we did get along, me and my siblings. Yeah. So that's nice. I'm sorry guys that you clashed.
yeah.
Maybe if I was your
Uh,
older brother,
oh, if
yeah.
only.
How what am I older than you by like, I don't know, 9 months, something like that? I don't remember.
Yeah, probably sounds plausible.
Dave, you're like two years younger than me or something like that. So we could have been brothers.
Like I'm very glad I don't have a brother. Like I like not even just being like oldest or youngest. I'm glad I don't have a brother because I feel like if you have like two brothers or like one brother, I mean, then it's like you're always being compared to them. Like one of them's going to be the smart one, one's going to be the dumb one, one's the good kid, one's the bad kid. Like there's a lot of expectations and a lot of like there's like a weird rivalry sometimes. I guess it you know it probably depends on the age and the age difference between you. But you know, because some families you see they're like, well, your older brother did this, like you should be able to do this, and just putting expectations. You know, it's like you're your own person. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
Vince,
always
with
be
your
fair.
brothers, did you like? I remember a lot of my friends who had brothers, like it was always like physically fighting and stuff, like punching each other and stuff. I'm like, I don't need that.
I didn't do that. No.
Yeah.
I remember my brother got it in his mind that I did that. I don't know what he had a phase where it's like, oh, well, I beat up on Myra because you beat up on me. I'm like, I never beat up on you, you asshole. Like, mom even has stories of like we're outside and I'm like, you know, playing around. And he picks up a stick, he looks around, and he just fucking hits me in the back. But I was like, I was nice, and like I said, with video games, my younger brother would be a game hog. He's like, I'm going to play it. I'm like, all right. So, yeah. Maybe I was a pushover. Maybe I failed as an older brother. I don't know.
Yeah, no matter what you do, you failed one way or the other.
What about you, John? Do you wish you had a older brother?
No.
Say no more.
No, like I would have been fine being an only child. Not that I'm trying to wish my sister out of existence or anything, but
Evaporates.
like I was always fine just doing stuff by myself.
Okay, well, oh shit. I dated my last big date, relationship. She was the baby, and I could tell, fucking
Destined to
spoiled
fail.
brat. Yeah. All right.
Man, where are you gonna find an oldest of six though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. It has to be precisely.
Have to go to, like Catholic church or something and find someone.
Oh God.
Yeah, farmersonly.com.
All right. Well, I think we're done. I think it's time we you know what? I'm tired of doing the segments. You guys think of something. How do we end this thing?
That's
Nobody. See, it's tough.
Well, let's
Oh,
break off
brother.
another branch from the family tree.
Oh,
Yes.
actually, we're at the end of the show, right?
Right.
So,
Oh,
yeah. So,
chop that tree down.
yeah, chop that tree down. Make sure it doesn't land on your siblings. Yeah. Okay. Well, until next time, like, subscribe, comment. This was A Few Goldilock Bears podcast with Vincent Cloud.
John Nemitz.
David Lauer.